folks, HR Funk here with my enhanced Ruger 1022 carbine. A lot of you have been asking me what's going on with this and if there's going to be a new installment in the series coming up, and the answer is yes there is, and it's going to be today. For any of you who are new to this project, I started this back in the late winter or early spring, and this rifle started life as a standard Ruger 1022 carbine with the traditional wooden stock and tapered barrel. And I've been changing things on the rifle ever since the beginning of the project, trying to improve the accuracy. I switched out the stock for this Fab Defense stock, which also free floats the barrel. And also the barrel on this is a Tactical Solutions 10X barrel. That was another change that I made. I've added the bipod, I've added this Leatherwood scope, and there are previous videos on all of these things. If you go back through the channel and through my history, you will find all those previous videos. And today, I believe I have solved something that has been holding me back with my accuracy. What I've been experiencing with this particular rifle is I will get 2 or 3 shots that are very close together, and then I'll have a flyer or 2 flyers. And I think that might be because I've been using the factory trigger this entire time. Starting as of today, I have a brand new Volquartsen trigger in the rifle, and I'm going to see just how much difference that might make. And before I start to shoot, let's go back to the shop, and I'm going to introduce you to this trigger and give you a little bit of an idea of what it adds to the rifle and also how to install it in the rifle. Then we'll come back out to the range and see how it does. And here is that Volquartsen TG2000 trigger group. As you can see, it is a drop-in replacement for the Ruger factory trigger. It is factory set for a release weight of 2¼ pounds, and that cannot be adjusted by the end user, but it is adjustable for pre-travel and over-travel. So without further ado, let's open up the box, if the box will cooperate. And inside we find the trigger itself. You can see it also has an extended magazine release to make removing that magazine a little bit easier, and it also has a slightly extended bolt stop. Curiously, one thing that's not included is any kind of instructions. So apparently if you want to adjust that over travel or trigger creep, you have to go to the Volquartsen website and find out how that's done. Now I do see an over travel screw right behind the trigger there. I don't know if you can see that. So presumably that is adjusted right here. And I still don't see how you adjust the pre-travel. So again, if I decide I want to do that, I'm going to have to go to the website and see just precisely how that's done. To begin the installation, I'll be removing the action from the Fab Defense stock, which is a simple enough process. I simply need to remove the stock screw or stock bolt right here. And I believe it's detached from the receiver. And then I'm just going to simply lift the action out of the stock, and maybe that screw's not all the way out yet, so let me loosen that up a little bit more. Alright, let's try that again. This action does fit very tightly in this stock, so that could be part of the issue too. And I'm just going to stop the camera so I can move this around where I can get a hold of it a little bit better and get that action out of there. And I discovered why it wouldn't come out. I forgot to do something. You have to set the safety halfway between the fire and safe position in order for the action to come out of the stock, and then it raises out quite easily. So that was my mistake, and I'll have to remember to do it when I put the stock back on. And with the action removed from the stock, we can see the 2 pins that hold the trigger group to the bottom of the receiver. Normally those come out very easy. Now try not to let the big one up here fall out. It's not a real big deal, you can just put it back in, but I like to just keep it in place. And these pins come out very easily, so you don't have to worry about fighting with those to get them out of there. They should push out without any real problem whatsoever. And now the trigger group simply releases from the bottom of the receiver, and we'll set the factory trigger off to the side. Now we will be reusing the factory trigger pins. The new trigger group does not come with any new pins, so I'm just going to do a quick test fit here and make sure everything lines up as it should, and it all appears that it does. So now I'm going to get my factory trigger pins again and put them right back in the same holes that they came out of. And the new Volquartsen trigger is now in place. Now, a lot of times it is a challenge to get the action back into this Fab Defense stock. It is a very tight fit, and I'll make sure that my safety is in the proper location. You need to make sure these pins are flush on both sides. And we'll see how much luck I have today getting this thing back in here. And this is another time that I may have to go off camera so I can fiddle with this thing a little bit and get it back together properly. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So give me just a couple of seconds here to work with this, and I'll get that thing back down in there. And as usual, there's no rhyme or reason as to why the receiver finally fits down inside the stock, or I should say the action fits down inside the stock. But eventually it does fit down in there very tightly, but it is in. I'm going to tighten up the stock bolt just a little bit with my screwdriver. Then I'm going to switch over to my torque wrench. And as a reminder, the proper torque setting for the stock bolt is 18 to 24 inch-pounds. I've got my torque wrench set at 20 inch-pounds. And I'm going to tighten this up. Now, some of you have suggested that I should experiment with different torque settings for the stock bolt to see if that enhances my accuracy. And that's one of the things that I will do eventually if I don't start to see accuracy improve. Sooner or later, I'm going to start to play with that torque setting and see if that has any effect. But right now, I've got everything back together. The new trigger is in place. And let's raise the camera a little bit here. And we'll test the function. First, double check. Make sure the action is clear. And we'll check the safety function. And the safety works. Take the safety off, squeeze the trigger, and the rifle fires. Cycle the action while holding the trigger in, and the trigger resets. So we've got good trigger function. Now I'll grab my trigger pull gauge and we'll see exactly where that trigger is breaking. And I've got the trigger pull gauge ready to go. Let's see if we can tell where this new trigger is breaking. And try to get this zeroed out. Right below 2.5 pounds. 2 pounds, 7.1 ounces. Now remember, this is supposed to be set by Volquartsen to break at 2.25 pounds, so that's slightly higher. But let's try another one, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I over-pulled that a little bit. A little bit closer that time, 2 pounds, 3.9 ounces. So let's try one more. We'll get a 3-pull average here. Very close to the last time, 2 pounds, 3.1 ounces. So our average for those 3 pulls, and that can't be right because that says 1 pound 7 ounces. So actually I think our average for those 3 pulls was about 2 pounds 4.5 ounces or so, maybe 2 pounds 5 ounces. So slightly higher than the advertised pull weight, but not drastically so. And in terms of the way it feels, a little bit of creep there. I don't know if you saw that or not. Nice break. Oops. Try that again, see if you can see that creep. I'm adding pressure very slowly. Right there, it's just a little bit of movement, maybe a 32nd of an inch, maybe just a little bit more, and then it breaks. So not bad. I might have to look into that pre-travel adjustment just a little bit to see if I can get that a little bit better. But all in all, that is a huge improvement over the factory trigger, and I can't wait now to get this out to the range and see how it's going to shoot with the new trigger installed. So that's the lowdown on the trigger, folks. Thanks to Optics Planet, and specifically Cal at Optics Planet, for getting that trigger to me. I appreciate that. Now, just like I've done in the previous videos, I'm set up at a distance of 50 yards. I'm trying to get accuracy out of this rifle that's right about minute of angle. I'd like to see groups that are about ½ an inch from this distance to 50 yards. So I'm going to set things up, and we'll see if this new trigger is going to help me get there. And for everyone who wants to know, ammunition for today's test is Wolf Match Extra. So here we go. Let's see how it shoots. I think this is the kind of accuracy I've been looking for, folks. Just over 1 minute of angle. That's about not quite 5/8 of an inch from 50 yards. So again, very, very close to what I'm looking for accuracy-wise. Much better than I was seeing before when I was out here working with this rifle. There are no flyers anywhere. I've got 2 shots that almost went through the same hole here on the right-hand side. And that could have been me pulling them over just a little bit, but I've also got 2 or 3 shots right here. It's kind of hard to tell exactly how many I have there. But again, very, very good group for that first try with that new Volquartsen trigger in the rifle. Okay, folks, let's make sure those first 5 shots weren't a fluke. I'm going to try one more 5-shot group, and we'll see how these look. Okay, folks, a little bit of an explanation on this one. I've got 4 of those 5 shots that are in 1 minute of angle. Those are all within a ½ inch center to center. I've got 1 shot, my very last shot, that opens the group up to about 3/4 of an inch. But this is my fault. I stayed on the sight too long. I was trying to make that shot too perfect, and I ended up pulling it off myself. So this is not the fault of the rifle or the optic or the ammunition or anything else. This is me. So I think I'm going to try one more group. We'll put it on this target over here, and I'll see if I can keep all 5 of them within a minute of angle this time. Guess that was 5. Let's go take a look at the target. Folks, I'm not sure what happened to my target camera on that particular group. I thought I had it on, but when I walked down here, it was turned off. The group is outstanding. That's 5 shots that are in less than a minute of angle. That's about 3/8 of an inch center to center. So I think I have solved my accuracy problem and my problem with those flyers, because that's 3 groups that are all, except for the 1 shot that I pulled off over here, all within minute of angle or just slightly over, which is the accuracy I've been looking for, and I'm now getting it out of that rifle. Okay, folks, I wasn't planning to show you this group. When I fired the last group you did see, it's a little high and to the right, so I decided to make one more sight correction, so I have that scope zeroed for this ammunition, and I fired this group off camera, and so this is my 4th group in a row. This one is just over 1 minute of angle. This is about 9/16 of an inch, center to center. So essentially minute of angle. Actually, minute of angle is just slightly over 1/2 an inch at 50 yards. So I'm still going to call this minute of angle from that distance. So there's 4 groups in a row, with the exception of 1 bad shot that I pulled off, that are staying within that group size that I wanted of 1 minute of angle. So every time I think I've showed you the last group that I'm going to show you for the day, I shoot another one off camera, and it's even better than the last. This is the group I just shot. Again, this was right after the last one that I showed you. I went back, got down behind the rifle, and fired 5 more shots. This is 5 shots in less than 1 minute of angle. That is about 3/8 of an inch center to center for those 5 shots right there. So I think it's safe to say that trigger made all the difference, and now I'm happy with the accuracy I'm getting from this rifle. Well, folks, now that I believe I've solved the accuracy problem with this rifle, I'll tell you what I think was causing me the problems, especially most recently here. And that is the fact that the rifle itself, or the entire system, is very, very light. In fact, I think the entire system is lighter than the weight of the trigger pull. And when you combine that with the dwell time of the relatively slow 22 bullets that I'm shooting through here, I think what was happening and what was causing the flyers was, as I was shooting the rifle, when the bullet was still traveling through the barrel, because of the weight of that trigger, I was pulling it ever so slightly off target, and that's what was causing those occasional flyers. Now, I wasn't doing it every single time, but I was doing it enough that I was not getting consistent accuracy through 5-shot strings. And I started to suspect that the last time that I was out here when I had this new scope installed, because with the Leatherwood scope, I'm able to get a very, very good sight picture, and I was able to call my shots at the point where the trigger broke, and the shots weren't going where they should have been going when the trigger broke and the bullet started to travel down bore. So I think that was it, and I really suspected that when I installed this new lighter trigger that I would start to see those flyers go away. I didn't expect to see the dramatic improvement in accuracy that I saw today. So I've got, I think, 5-shot groups on the target now that are all sub-minute of angle, except for one shot that was my fault. And I couldn't be happier. That's tremendous accuracy, so I'm seeing the type of accuracy I expected to see out of this Tactical Solutions barrel. It's certainly not being impacted by the stock whatsoever, and it's all helped out by the Leatherwood scope and, of course, this new Volquartsen trigger. So if you've been with me since the beginning of this project and you've been watching me as I've struggled my way through and tried to get better and better accuracy, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if this guy can shoot. Hopefully five-shot groups in a row proves I at least that I tell people on a good day I can hit the broadside of a big barn. If it's a small barn, things start to get a little bit iffy, but normally I shoot better than the groups that we've seen in the previous videos in this series. And that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember, WarbirdBunker.com is making t-shirts for the channel. If you want to get my t-shirt, you can go to WarbirdBunker.com, and you can also look at the other t-shirts and gear that Nathan has there. And if you use my discount code, which is HRFunk for you, you'll get 10% off anything you purchase from WarbirdBunker.com. So again, folks, until next time, finally with some decent accuracy, good shooting. Bye-bye.